We're speaking today with David Patrick, a man who literally reinvented the wheel. David, can you tell us what's revolutionary about your product?
It's funny that you say that because the word revolutionary is a pun, meaning that I reinvented the wheel completely by accident. It's a couple of different things. I'll put it into three basic categories. Number one, it's revolutionary because it has performance characteristics that go beyond what a regular wheel does. So we've come up with an improvement over something that has been the same for 3,500 years, and so to define revolutionary would certainly fall in the category of improving something that's been around that long. The other thing is, we took something that literally, you had to fall into this. We accidentally did this because it is a perfect cube that rolls. And when you've got something that is perfectly cubic mathematically, and then it rolls perfectly, that's just a bizarre thing. So it's revolutionary in that aspect. And the other thing is, it's beautiful. It's something that, from a pure aesthetic standpoint, it is a beautiful design. So it's something that, in those three categories, performance, being a gimmick that's so bizarre, but also being something that's aesthetically beautiful, we got a really unique product. And like I said, I don't claim to have reinvented the wheel. I accidentally reinvented the wheel. Very happy with what we've got, though.
So what are you doing differently than others in this industry?
Another great question. The industry has kind of always been the same for a long time. People were blueprints to machine to try and get prototypes going. And as everyone knows, that is an extraordinarily expensive process. I've always been a big believer that technology solves problems. And it's a brave new world right now. The internet brought one wave of things to us, but 3D printing, rapid prototyping, it is just absolutely a brave new world. And so we've been able to take the most cutting edge technologies and processes and turn it into a real manufactured product.
How has the R&D development process helped you to get to market and in production?
Well, number one, time. Being able to take something that's on a computer that you go and you design, 3D printing it, molding it, and then getting those molds into production, we're able to do that in 2 to 3 days, whereas normally that process would be 2 to 3 months. The second part of that equation is cost. When we're doing things in the traditional manner, a single piece is costing us almost $1,000. When we're doing it in a rapid prototyping environment like we're doing right now, you're talking $15 to $50. So there's just a dramatic difference in time and cost.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's a brave new world. It really is. You can get to market with things so much faster, so much cheaper, and there's a whole different category of people that can do it now that were otherwise excluded. Before it was an engineer's room, and now it's not. Pretty much anybody can play.
3D printing and urethane casting has allowed you to achieve close proximity to innovation. Are you able to develop things on the fly as you go?
Absolutely. They go hand in hand. 3D printing can only get you 50% of the way. It gives you the product in the real world, but having the product in the real world out of the right materials is the other thing. And materials is always that finishing step. And for us, our relationship with you is what made that whole thing possible. There was no getting to market just out of the 3D printing. You had to have that second component in order to be able to cast and prototype and do things with, as I said, that Goldilocks approach, being able to know good and bad, hard and soft, and be able to go through that. That's that second part of that process.
Does your ability to do this in-house R&D give you the ability to manufacture in the U.S.?
You know what? That's, again, great questions. Everybody told us we were going to have to go to China. And, the cost, the this, the that. That was absolutely not the case. With today's brave new world, being enabled that your prototyping costs are so much less, the proximity of being so close to the manufacturer and being able to prototype, rapid prototyping back and forth, it is the number one thing that made us what we are. Being able to stay inside the United States and inside of California, where this is the epicenter of it, but being able to do all of our prototyping, all of our everything here was just absolutely critical to us keeping it here. So yeah, these new processes, keep it here.
You came to BJB early in your R&D process to discuss materials. Tell me more about your R&D process early on.
Okay, well, as you know, when I first came to BJB, we didn't know anything. You guys were the experts. So we came to you, and even we didn't know what we wanted. We had a basic idea of what we were trying to accomplish, but we knew there was going to be a lot of steps. You guys had such a palette of things to choose from, and not only the materials, and I'm not just trying to say this, because you guys are a fabulous company, but having the materials, but also understanding the processes and the machines that are used and the temperatures that are used and all those different things, it was able to take us to that, okay, where are we, that shotgun approach to it, to a really defined, targeted thing of this is where you are, this is what you need, and this is where manufacturing finally is. So you guys took us from that idea phase to the final perfect product for us and everything in between. It was just that wonderful, all of the things that we needed, all the resources were there, and BJB was able to always produce a product that was, had that kind of properties that we needed it to have.
Can you explain to us the cost savings you were able to achieve using both 3D printing and urethane casting?
Okay. When we were going the traditional routes, and let's use this as a perfect real example, okay? This thing took 3 months to develop and $1,000 to make the very first one. And each of the copies after that were going to be $700. Now, this had to be like this because the world told us it had to be like that. When we went out and found out that, hey, we can go straight to 3D printing, and then we can go from 3D printing to other materials provided by BJB, we then found out that we could take something that was a 3-month, $1,000 process and turn it into a 3-day, $50 process. Absolutely amazing, because going from computer to real world with mathematical perfection today, and then being able to duplicate that perfection in the kinds of materials that you need quickly. This is 3 months, mostly because of the amount of human power it requires. This is $50 because it requires virtually nothing. It's so easy to work with this kind of stuff. So for us, it's one thing when you go out there and you say, I'm going to reinvent a wheel. Well, I need different versions of this, different sizes, different things. Well, if I'm having to do this route, you're talking tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to try and come up with the different variations on the product that I need. Now, with 3D rapid prototyping and being able to use products from BJB, we're able to come up with 20 different variations in a week, whereas before it would have taken us a year to do that. There's literally no limitations, and that's the other brilliance about 3D printing. Complexity costs nothing. It doesn't matter how complex the thing looks. That has nothing to do with how much it costs to print it. Back in this world, the more complex something was, that was the death knell for it. That could kill whether or not your product could even go to market. Now you're saying I can take almost anything I can dream of and within below $1,000 be in full-scale production. That's incredible. And I really am saying full production for just a couple $1,000s, whereas before it was $30,000. That's huge, huge. Make or break a company.
How was your experience with BJB with regards to customer service, and more specifically, the technical help you received in developing your product?
As a company, and I'm not making this up, I wouldn't have existed without you guys. There was no chance in the world that I would have made it to where I was without you guys as a company. Every time I called, I got an answer. Every time we ordered, it got taken care of, and it was always fantastic. But most importantly, every time I showed up and I needed to learn or I needed to understand, you guys took every bit of time that I needed and you made it happen. And again, when you look at what I did in the short time frame that we did it, it was all because of the processes and things that you guys offer. You figured that out. You've done it 100 times. You've seen a bunch of guys like me walk in the door before, and that's the difference between dealing with a professional company or a company that has stuff in stock. Honestly, I credit the existence of this company with being able to have a relationship and a team like you guys be part of us.
Great. So where do you see the company going from here?
Well, good news is it's a wheel, so there's a lot of applications for wheels out there in the world. being that we do have something that has competitive advantages, we're going to be just exploding into a bunch of other markets. And we did this first one as kind of a proof of concept, prove that it is a better wheel, prove that it can be manufactured at a price point to where we're profitable, things like that. But we're just going to explode into a bunch of other markets. Strollers, trash cans, luggage. There's just 100 different opportunities out there where we have a competitive advantage. So we're just going to go into a lot of different things, and most importantly, BJB, you guys provide every material we need. Every market we're thinking of going into, whether it's a rubber or a plastic or a this or a that, you guys have the material. And so we're really looking forward to just going crazy with this into a bunch of different markets.
Fantastic. We really appreciate the confirmation. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
We wish you continued success. This was just a fun thing to see. Thanks, David.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.